Okay, let's see what else we have here. Okay, this is interesting. Sweden stuns European Union in referendum. I want to quickly see what this is. Sweden resoundingly reject the euro. Whatever, okay. We've been around this block a couple of times. Nothing new. Let's see what else is in South Africa. 4 men nabbed with all of this marijuana. As I told you, 80 kilograms isn't that much. There is a fair bit. 500, half a ton. Half a ton of marijuana down in the southeastern Cape. Surfing area. providing dope to all the surfers. Dude. Yo. Hey. Okay, so I got the tip off of rhino poachers traveling. They followed up on the information, spotted them on the highway, and then I actually found them in with marijuana. Yeah. Rhino poaching is a big deal in South Africa. They've been basically killing off rhinos like the plague. You know, all those Chinese people wanting their rhino horn. They really don't care for South African wildlife. A lot of the poor black people, some Mozambicans, some Zimbabweans and some South Africans, they just follow the plot. They just love money. They don't care what damage they do for it. Either way, there you go, happy days, 4 drug dealers busted. Probably all coming from Lesotho as well. That area is close to Lesotho. Security officer killed. Is that a policeman or is that private security? Private security, I think that happens a fair bit, unfortunately. They're usually the first people to face these hardcore criminals. You know? Yeah, that is a private security officer. Shot in the head in Phoenix. In KwaZulu Natal. Yeah. Yeah, so the reaction unit responded after a tip-off about a guy lying in the street with his head bleeding, spilling blood everywhere. I once saw a guy that was shot by the police. I was on a road just outside of Pretoria, driving somewhere, I can't even remember where, early in the morning. I might have been on my way to university actually. Yeah, and the guy was lying like in between the two directions of the road, in the middle, man. You know, there's blood everywhere. I think it was even before they chucked the blanket on top. But must have been a hardcore criminal. Yeah. I wasn't really interested in looking, but usually if my eye catches something, even for a fraction of a second, my brain will process it. Okay, so the security officer left his home, and he actually was on his way to a fruits and veg business, and they killed him there at the fruits and veg business. Robbery does not appear to be the motive. The deceased was still in possession of his cell phone and jewelry. Probably he knew something about some hardcore crime and They tried to intimidate him and he didn't want to be intimidated, so they killed him. That happens a lot in South Africa. Or he had some different opinions about politics. In KwaZulu-Natal, that's also a big reason for people getting killed. Right? Yeah. Okay. Suspect arrested for attempted robbery. We've seen these two Bashir attackers. What's going on here? Know what that is. Alleged attackers of Shagani Bashir. I don't know who that is. Okay, so he was traveling in the morning in a taxi to Houghton, a very affluent area in Johannesburg. Nelson Mandela had a house there. All the rich Jewish people stay in Houghton. Or they used to, I'm not sure if they still do. They might be staying in Sandown as well. Sandhurst. Those areas. Okay. 4 men traveling in a sedan decided to push them off the road. All 4 were armed with handguns and a hammer. They assaulted the driver with the hammer and then pulled him out of the car. And then they basically robbed this man. It looks like an Indian Bashir, or he might be from like North Africa somewhere. And he probably had a lot of cash. He was going to do business or jewelry or something like that. They robbed him blind and then killed him. It has emerged that the motive had been robbery. Wow, it took them forever to figure that out. Really? The irony is, if the motive is robbery, then they could have just robbed him. But they didn't just rob him. They robbed him of his life as well. I guess that's a robbery as well. But that's a different kind of robbery. They robbed him and then they killed him. That's not robbery, that's just plain premeditated murder. Nothing else. Yeah. Suspects are considered flight risk. That is really funny. You get murderers in South Africa, they get £80 bail, £70 bail, sometimes even less. They go out and they just vanish. 6 months later, they don't rock up for court. The dockets gets lost. They just murder and pillage and rape and just continue with all their violence. So detectives are opposing bail. Let's see if bail will be opposed. Chances are they will not. They will probably get out. Yeah. Cheese factory has to secure its property or risk losing it. What is this? Let's see here. Okay, so interdict has been granted to a cheese factory for 4 months. The interdict prevents residents of an informal settlement from occupying vacant land near the factory. Yeah, Cyril Ramaphosa and Julius Malema opened a really nasty kettle of fish. If you have 15-20 million people living in utter poverty in informal settlements in South Africa, then they are going to start taking things into their own hands because they've been promised a lot by these far left politicians. And as it always is with a far left politician, his word is worth absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. He lays his own pockets. In the meantime, those that vote for him needs to suffer. Yeah. And the poor owner, he's in big trouble. He's filed an eviction order in April, and now it's been heard this week. And now he probably needs to pay like a sheriff or someone to go and remove all these people. Yeah. A representative for the occupiers. So they've actually got their whole union and representatives and the whole thing going on. He's quite surprised to see the factory title deeds. So what? You're just going to go and occupy private land in any case. And if you're not going to give us all the information we want, then we're going to assume it's all good. There you go. The residents are allowed to study the factory's title deeds. For what? They're illegal occupiers. Get rid of them. The government's got serious amounts of property, land. They can just move them to another piece of land. The government isn't willing to do that because the government actually wants to be full owner of all land in South Africa. Thank you, international community, for all this crap. Yeah, South Africa is having a rough time with all of these socialists. So instead of actually people being pulled up, a lot of people are being dragged down. So standards are dropping. And standards of living is dropping as well for a lot of people. And these poor people, you can't blame them for the fact that they want a piece of land where they can live and do something. They don't get ahead at all. It's not like they have any opportunities coming their way. So yeah, not good. Whatever, there's a bunch of politics going on. People complaining because they actually have informal settlements on land and they are actually paying some money for it. That is actually no good. That is rough. 500 a month, that's what, about $40. That's a fair bit of money for people without work in South Africa. That can basically feed the guy almost for a whole month. Just on maize and bread, things like that. Yeah, that is rough. Right. Yeah. Here's the funny part, right? So you say, I can't even afford to buy food and eat, and yet I must pay rent every month. And that's why I have to move here. And now, basically, he's having a rough time, he's got some pain, but nobody's listening, so they're taking action. The problem is, if you're going to do stuff like this, the consequences for the economy and the land is just no good. The government should really have programs in place to start helping these people. They need ways to get people in the informal settlements better educated and get them into jobs. And jobs needs to be provided somehow. And crime needs to be cut and corruption needs to be cut for that to happen as well. Nobody wants to go and start a business and be robbed blind continually, or have 3 or 4 armed robbers come into their business, pull some guns and shoot the manager in the head. There's a lot of damaged people in South Africa. Yeah, we got social grants and all rigmarole, blah 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 blah. Always the same. Doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so there you have it. Yeah, so a bit of illegal land land occupation. Yeah, I mean that's going to become more and more in South Africa. As I told you in another video, the black leaders had all that beautiful land, some of the richest and most productive land in South Africa. They did nothing with it, and the international community did not help them one bit to develop it. All they did was demonize the rest of South Africa. If they wanted to demonize the rest of South Africa, fair enough, but they should have helped the black people develop. The only thing that got developed there is basic infrastructure by the white governments back in the day, nothing else. And then the white governments actually still gave some funding to the black areas so that they can actually just do the bare necessities. Nothing else happened. International community is a bunch of bigots when it comes to this stuff. The only thing they're happy about is lacing their pockets with an open market. You know, money talks. Now they've stolen the cream of the upper middle class and middle class in South Africa as well. You know what? 2.5 million of the best educated people and the best business people in the country left. You know, thanks Australia, thanks New Zealand, thanks England, Canada, America, Sweden, Germany, Switzerland. You know, you're all happy going and putting all the pressures on South Africa, and now you're taking the cream of the crop. South Africa is left with the rest. It's no good. There you go. Miners are protesting. So it seems there were some deaths at mines. Yeah, that happens as well. Mining is fairly dangerous in South Africa. It's usually deep mining. Very deep mining. Yeah, they were trapped in a mine after some earthquake caused the rock fall. That happens. My dad almost died like that when he was 21. He was starting to become a geologist, and I think he was actually in a coal mine as a student, walking with the professor, and a 2-ton piece of coal just dropped from the roof of the shaft and just fell straight in front of my dad. He still told me that a while back. So yeah, mining is dangerous. You know, it's a bit like working on an oil rig or working on a boat on the ocean. You know, dangerous work. Now, deep mining is going to be difficult to protect miners from this kind of stuff. The problem is, miners can be more protected, but then mining needs to be more automated. The problem with that is a lot of miners will lose their jobs. Yep, so that's not going to happen. Okay, so Home Affairs is giving the finger to some refugees. Stuff like that happens. Okay, let's see here. I think I'm going to stop this because the next one we have is some professor talking about farm murders. Let's see what she has to say. It's going to be interesting. Watch the space.